You're tuned in to RX Radio.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back. Another episode of RX'D Radio. Contentious topic. Training, genders, sexes. What can we say, Kyle? What are we allowed to say? Differences in neuroendocrine physiology. Let's say that. No, the long and short of differences in training men and women. I think it's something that is an inevitable conversation. If you train for a longer period of time, you begin to notice trends. So with Killian, myself, and Jiunta, we've all trained for a decent amount of time. That sort of the collective wisdom of training differences across the sexes, genders. I don't know the words to say. A really interesting take. Some good takeaways across the board, anecdotal and scientific. So I think it's a worthy conversation that we shouldn't be steering away from. We should be leaning into if we want to get the best results for our clients. That being said, just released last Friday, Prescript Collective. Now, we have a lot of people reaching out who don't have the time to sit through our longer educational courses, Prescript Level 1, Prescript Barbell, Skill Acquisition, Weightlifting, etc. The Prescript Collective is a monthly subscription that brings to you industry keynote speakers through our Emerging Ideas lecture series, along with monthly literature reviews, weekly technique labs called application seminars. So we go through and not only dissect movement, but teach people how to dissect movement as well as implement corrective strategies on these assessments. So, a very value-packed product that will just delivered to you. Sealed with that, forgot to mention, is the community aspect of it. So all of our coaches, myself included, are accessible 24/7 through this really neat embedded community feature that we have in the product. So head on over to www.predescript.com, get access to industry leaders in strength and conditioning, hypertrophy training, bodybuilding, nutrition, biomechanics, etc. Anything strength and fitness, we've been able to go out. And basically, I've just called in a ton of favors and had my friends in the industry who are world leaders in their particular domains come and put together lectures for you guys on very specific topics. But again, I can't stress enough the importance of the community aspect. So Prescript Collective is now live. Head over to predescript.com to get that. To get registered in that and join the community. It's going to be a lot of fun. Very excited for the speakers we have coming up. We get a new speaker about every 2 weeks, and then we get a literature review in the weeks in between, weekly technique labs, and then 24/7 community access to myself, Dr. Jiunta, Killian, Thayer, Bax, Bagheera, Macintosh. The whole team is going to be in there. Looking forward to the conversation that we're going to have with that. So without any further ado, also Prescript Barbell, also up for sale, 9-week course. We chatted about it last week. Head over to the Prescript site, check out both the Prescript Collective and Prescript Barbell. Barbell is set to start March 3rd. So we got some time to register for that, but do snag your seat as spaces are limited. Guys, enjoy the episode. We'll see you next week. Can you pull it up? The Miss Universe pageant? Buddy, have you watched this?
No.
Have you ever watched it?
No. I can like pull up images in my brain of what I assume it to be, but I've never watched it.
Right. So you're thinking of toddlers and tiaras. Similar. But this thing is incredible. First off, Steve Harvey. Can we talk about Steve Harvey for a second? If there's no one better suited for this job, we have problems. You hear about the one year he called out the wrong winner?
Yeah, I did. I heard about that.
So he's still doing it.
Yes, good for him, man.
The fact that, dude, if me and you fucked up our job that bad, we would not be able to go back to work the next day.
Yeah.
Like, oops, my bad.
That's literally his most important task of the day.
That's it. There's one thing. Yeah, the little quips, the bad jokes in between, the world peace speeches and all that. None of it matters. The only thing that matters is the final envelope. Yeah. Don't fuck it up. Yeah. So Miss India won it, but Miss South Africa. Lundy, can you look up Miss South Africa's final question? Incredible. One of the worst answers I've ever heard. Because here's the thing. I've heard wrong answers that were better than this answer. So, do you have the question there? Oh my God, dude. It was something to the effect of like, okay, go.
What advice would you give to a young woman watching, to a young woman? Fucking ads just keep popping up, man.
Lundy's adding to it. That's not what the question was.
Yeah. What advice would you give to young women watching on how to deal with the pressures they face today?
Okay, does it have her answer?
Well, I think
He's just laughing.
but it's funny.
Dude, it's so good to read it out of context because it makes no sense.
Well, I think the biggest pressure the youth of today is facing is to believe in themselves, to know what you are, to know that you are unique, and that's what makes you beautiful. Stop comparing yourself with others, and let's talk about more important things that's happening worldwide. I think this is what you need to understand. Come out, speak for yourself, because you are the leader of your life. You are the voice of your own life. I believe in myself, and that's why I'm standing here today. Thank you.
Okay, that must have been the wrong question. Can you look up South Africa cancel culture?
Oh my God.
Okay, be careful. Miss South Africa or Miss Universe South Africa cancel culture. Well, Lundy does that. It just phenomenal things out of the Miss Universe pageant if you've never watched it.
So did she get canceled? Is that like where this is heading?
No, she didn't get canceled. I don't think, because Tess watches it, and she's like, it's like this. She's like, she literally said this to me. Bless her heart. It's like the Super Bowl of pageants. But I'm like, the reason we use the Super Bowl as a measuring stick is because people watch it.
Right.
So it's like saying it's the Super Bowl of bocce ball. It's like, no, it's not, because no one watches bocce ball, right? So you can't say it's the Super, because the Super Bowl isn't necessarily a measure of like, yes, it is the pinnacle of football, but we use the words, like we use that parallel because it's something that people watch. Now, I could be way off base, and there could be way more people that watch Miss Universe than watch the Super Bowl. Don't think that's the case, but it's so odd to me that it's still an institution. Do you have it, Lundy?
Okay. The question was, should tweets and social media comments from a person in their teenage years be held against them years later? The answer was, I believe that everybody should be held accountable for their actions. And if a person doesn't know how to act on social media, they should be canceled. I believe in cancel culture. In the same way, I also believe in redemption culture. Hoping that a person has matured and has learned better and done better. I hope that they could do better and be redeemed. So I do believe that they can grow and be allowed to do that.
Interesting.
So, like, again, I've heard wrong answers that were better answers than that.
I feel like they're two completely conflicting ideas. Cancel culture.
Well, I think
and redemption culture.
she heard the words leave her mouth and go, who the fuck said that? And like immediately backpedal.
Regret.
That was the hardest backpedal I've ever seen in my entire life. I believe in cancel culture. Yeah. And then her brain heard it after she said it rather than before, and was like, who's the idiot that just said that? Oh shit, that was me. Well, because here's the thing. It's like, I don't understand why the opinion matters.
The same reason ours does, because people are listening.
I guess so, but we have over a decade in the industry, in academia, whatever. But it's like, I don't understand the role. I don't understand the title. Because we're going to tie this into fitness, because I don't speak out of turn about things. Because podcast now is primarily fitness. Because we were talking about stuff that we didn't know about. Maybe no one knows about it, but we know for sure that we don't know about it. So we're like, yeah, it's fun. We got bored during COVID, but now continue with the regular scheduled programming.
Right.
Taking this idea one further into fitness. If there's one thing I cannot stand, it is when males, trainers, coaches, whatever, try and get involved in female things across the board. Like the second, you know what's cancelable? Like if Miss South Africa was like, I believe in canceling men that use the word pelvic floor. It's like, I'm on board with that. That turns into the best answer I've ever heard. But like the emergence of trainers that are just clinging at straws to try and differentiate themselves in the industry. Like male trainers that read a book about hormone cycles and things, and then immediately are like, I'm a women's health expert or something. It's like, no, you're not. You're missing the number one prerequisite to that.
Being a woman?
But yeah. Oh, dude.
Or an expert?
Or an expert, right. You're missing the two things of that. You're basically a person with a pulse. Because here's the thing. There are very subtle differences in training men and women.
Yeah.
Like, objectively. Subjectively, potentially different story. We're not going to speak on that because we have no experience in the subjective. We have no subjective experience as women. So it's like, and that's where I think most information around like gender differences in training for men in the industry, because it's a male dominated industry, should stop. They understand like the technical side of things. Be like, okay, like hormone production, what does this really mean when it all comes out in the wash, when it comes down to like actual volume prescription, exercise prescription, what can you expect, right? Like as far as, programming volumes at different intensities, there is going to be a slight difference. And if you see this enough in actual experience of training clients, you can definitely attest to this. But other than that, it's like, you're done. You're done. Your job is done, right? Where it's so many people, I think, are, again, clinging to a relevance or maybe even like a shock factor. Like, have you ever met a male feminist? Have you ever met a male feminist?
I don't know how I would. I don't
They'll
think
tell
so.
you.
I guess so. They probably
All
are
right,
vegan.
so this is it. You ready? You know how you know a male feminist? He's got he/him in his
profile.
but he also has a beard. It's like, yeah, no, dude, we got it.
Bauer has that in his Instagram.
Boom! Fuck you, Eric Bauer. Piece of shit. But it's like, that's how you know. That's how you, and like, look, don't get me wrong. I've opened the door. Tess, I'm sure she knows how doors open, but she has not once opened the door to my car. Ever. I get her door every single time we go anywhere. I'll literally lock it. I'll leave her out in the fucking rain. She'll be waiting there. And I'll just be like, well, I'm like, yeah, no, I'll get there when I get there. But you're sure shit not opening your door. So I'll take chivalry all the way. So it's not like it's not like I'm a piece of shit. But like the male feminist that tries to be like relatable to females for whatever reason, I was like, dude, you're dealing with a whole nother deck of cards, man. Like, just go in, reps and sets, and get the fuck out of there.
Yeah, the term that comes to mind for me is mansplaining.
I don't know what that means.
Mansplaining?
Hey, Jiunta, you should mansplain what mansplaining means to Jordan here.
Well, I think I have to put my leg up like this.
Yeah.
And do it like
Okay, all of a sudden, I think I got it. Okay,
you 100% got it.
Okay,
It's
what is man? I've heard it and I wasn't paying attention because honestly, every time it's been said to me by a guy with he/him in his Instagram bio, and I was like, I don't respect you enough to listen to what you're saying to me.
Mansplaining is like explaining something to someone that is so self-explanatory that it's just like disrespectful to them to like have to explain it to them. Like, you're assuming that they don't understand what a very simple concept is, so you just explain it to them.
It's just kind of like
from
when
this
my
like
elderly
with this air of
relatives speak
superiority.
English really slow to other cultures. Is it kind of like that?
Pretty
Where,
much,
like
yeah.
my aunt
But-
will talk really slow to the person at like the sushi joint. It's like,
Exactly, but it's like gender specific.
Okay.
Like it's when, a man would do it to a woman in like a scenario like that he assumes that she wouldn't understand. Like
It
maybe
happens in, like,
changing a
car
tire
stuff
or
a lot.
something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
oh wow, it's weird that you guys. go off one thing.
if you put winter tires on, they'll grip the ground better, and you'll be able to slow down. And if you do that every year, then you can just eliminate the issue of you potentially crashing. It's like, no shit. It's called a winter tire.
Right. Okay.
Exactly,
So the
exactly.
weird thing is I don't think I've ever done that, but I feel like Tess does that to me a lot. Okay, so it's a dishwasher, right? And you gotta put the things in it, right? So I kind of feel low-key pretty offended because I think I've been on the other side of that.
She's been women-splaining to you?
I've been woman-splained. Just, yeah. But the thing is, I think she's well within her means to do that. And he's like, he has no fucking idea how this thing works. Lint Traps are another one. I get mansplained Lint Traps a lot. And I was like, look, I'm going to be totally honest with you. I haven't changed a lint trap in 31 years. 0 house fires. Undefeated on the house. Like, I really think that's hype.
You don't take the lint out of the dryer?
No time.
What are you doing?
No,
I don't know. It gets done.
I think that only works if you've lived in Airbnbs for the last like 6 years.
That's fair. It's someone else's problem. I paid a cleaning fee for this.
Exactly.
But she'll walk out with like what looks like a tabby cat because all my clothes are black. And she'll literally walk out and be like, when was the last time you changed this? Because like I lived in my place a little bit before I met her, and she walked out with like a dog that was just lint. And she was like, okay, so there's a thing called a lint trap. And I was like, oh my God, get me out of here. All right, so I've been mansplained. I've been the other side of that.
Yeah, absolutely. So now you understand it.
Now, it's so hard. It's like I would hate, because I mean, some of our closest friends are, I don't know what that's, I've never been in the room where that's been present, right? Because when I'm here, you know, some of the most, like from a training perspective, the most badass people in this gym, females.
Yeah.
Like Kathleen Hewson, Val, other Val, shout out them. They are like probably the 3 badass when it comes to actual training and getting the work done. So I don't, and like, you know, we go down to Miami, Steph, obviously, and then you look in your own, literally in your own backyard, Francis. Like, I've never been in an environment, not to say, obviously, like, I'm not saying that doesn't exist. Right. What I'm saying is actually the opposite. I see it on social media, and I see it in the sense of like, when men go out of their way to do this like pelvic floor thing or talk about women in training, it's like, yeah, you don't think they can sort it out themselves? Like, do you think they need you? They have a you. Why do they need to listen to you? Because there's a female who knows way more about it than you.
Right.
So is that what we're seeing? Is like the social media pelvic floor guy, is he a mansplainer?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say to some extent that's like a business model for certain trainers. Like, you ever see trainers that are like, I'm seeking like 18 to 24-year-old females who want to get in shape, get lean, build lean muscle, whatever it is.
Get in my trunk? What is this, a Ted Bundy ad for fitness?
It rides the line, dude. Absolutely. I don't know. It's almost like a preying on a population kind of thing. It's like the telemarketers that only call like people over 75. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, I don't know. It's a new government thing. Your grandson's going to die if you don't give me your social insurance number.
Exactly.
Okay. So you feel it more predatory because like I know that sales tactic. I think it's like a Grant Cardone 10X, like, you know, and you see it in people's handles. Like, yeah, I'm looking for blah, blah, blah between the age of blah, blah, blah who are looking to get blah, blah, blah in this amount of time.
Right.
Is it any more predatory than someone who's like, I'm looking for men over 40 to get in the best shape of their life? Do you feel it more predatory to go after like women?
Maybe. I think it's something that's getting phased out because of how male dominant this industry was for a long time.
Right.
And I think right now, kind of like you're saying, like some of the most badass people that I train and I work with are females, and I think that's fucking awesome because I think guys are idiots a lot of the time, and I think it's something that is becoming more prevalent where we have women that are very high up and very well educated in this industry. But I think for a long time it was, you know, like the whole body image thing, like girls didn't want to have muscle and be in the gym, and this is like, what does this matter, even me saying, because I'm not a girl and I never had to deal with these things. But these are things that I've had like women express to me and like my fiance expressed to me, that it's like, you know, it's a weird kind of deviation from what the norms were, you know, maybe 20 years ago, like when we were growing up. It was all like, you know, being really skinny, stuff like that, I think was the thing. Was like it was in vogue. It was like the publicized like body type, like models were super skinny and like that's what you saw on TV and everything. And now you're seeing like women with muscle that are very attractive. And I think other women are seeing that and not only realizing like, hey, it's like I can look good, but like it fucking feels good to be capable, like physically capable.
Shout out Miss Paraguay. Miss Universe Paraguay had some delts on her. I was fucking pulling for her hard. Tess was going on some historical bullshit. Miss Paraguay's never done anything. I was like, Paraguay's been doing something. Paraguay's been hitting them lateral raises. She had my unwavering support. But yeah, I mean, it's my thing is because I've trained men and women, and when I train people, I'm just trainer Jordan.
Yeah.
Everyone like age and it like doesn't matter. Everyone's getting fist bumps. I don't care if it's the first time you've ever done it. I've trained people in their 60s, 70s, men, women, all different cultures, people that didn't even speak English. You go like this to someone, a 70-year-old Indian woman is going to just put out, and she knows the drill. So it's like, just have like I don't know, like a universal training facade, because it's like none of that extraneous stuff really matters, right? Like if you were to boil down what are the action items that we consider when training men and women, because I think something that'll always help is understanding the number one proxy for everything we do is performance, right? So like if you use performance as a proxy always, race, religion, gender, creed, color, doesn't matter. Performance is the only thing that matters. If that's the only thing you see and you can see it and archive it over time, you can just pick up trends, over time, and then that becomes the thing that dictates your decision. Okay, when I have someone of this age, that's at this relative body composition, that has this relative skill, they're able to do X, Y, and Z, right? And that X, Y, and Z is all performance-based indicators, right? So I think it's no different than with women. It's like, okay, even in research, and it probably was actually driven from the anecdotal first, the one thing that I'll alter is my anticipation of 1 rep max strength off of sub-maximal volume. That's really it, right? So if someone hits a 3x3 at 90%, and that's a guy doing, I don't know, 600 pounds, it's like, wow, shit, maybe he's good for like a close to a 700-pound pull. Where the same relative percentages for a woman might not have as drastic a jump. However, some people might look at that as like derogatory. What you can look at that as is this female has a greater ability to do higher percentage sub-maximal volume, right? So if, say, the peak's not going to be as high, you'll be able to work closer to that threshold more than you can. So say like in absolute values, like let's say we have male, female, 300-pound deadlift. I'm going to have to work my sub-maximal percentages at a lower weight for the male, and according to the female. The female, if she's deadlifting 300, she's probably pulling her 3x3s at 260, 270, where it's like a male might be doing it at 240, 250. Right? So some people might look at the absolute strength. Like obviously historically over time, we're going to see the stronger deadlifts come from males. But if you actually look at relative per body weight, and we use like a Wilks equation, and we stick to the sport of powerlifting as like the measure of strength, I don't think it's a good measure of power per se. Top 6 in the world. Lundy, can you go to openpowerlifting.org? Shout out Sean Stengel, owner of openpowerlifting.org, and search just by Wilks coefficient. And I'm pretty sure the top 6 strongest in the world are females. So if we rank the strongest people in the world, we don't actually see a male until like the 5 spot or the 6 or 7 spot.
Yeah.
Wilks 2020 or Wilks?
Just Wilks. All time. You're going to see Mariana Gasparian. We're going to see Christy Hawkins potentially in the mix. Steph might be in there. Stacy Burr might be in there. All right, so sharing it. All right, so what do we got? Who's our top? Hit it from the top. So Mariana.
I don't know.
Yeah, Gasparian.
Steffi.
Hey, friend of the show.
So the top 7 are females.
Oh, Hunter Henderson's in the mix now. Stacy Burr, Cece Holcomb, or Cece Ingram, Christy Hawkins, Chloe Van Wyck, Australian, and then Yuri Belkin. And then the one after that is Ashley Garcia. So John Hack. So there's 2 men in the top 10 strongest ever by Wilks. So it goes to show you that like it's really not as like it's not that different. And you watch their training styles, very little difference is going to be in their ability to train. The one thing that you would probably see is you would see that females can probably train at a higher percentage of their 1 rep max than males.
Yeah, and I would even look at that and I would interpret that as strength as a coefficient of body weight, right? Is that it's going to be proportionately lighter body weight people can lift a higher proportion of weight compared to body weight, and then there's going to be diminishing returns on increasing body weights. Because even Yuri, like, what is he, like, does he lift at 110?
Yeah, so he's like
so
a little less. Yeah, not a little less. 227 is where he sets his records.
227.
Yeah,
that's,
and he pulls 9.
Yeah, that's fucking
80.
Incredible. Like the dudes that are pulling over $1,000, they probably weigh over 180 kilos, like 400 pounds or more, right?
Not deadlifting.
Okay.
Squatting for so here's an
Squatting,
interesting statistic.
yeah, okay, that makes a lot
It's
of
actually
sense.
inverted. I've done the numbers on this once. So when I did them, it was 75% of deadlifters over 900 pounds are in the 275 or below class, right? So they're either 125 kilo or below, leaving 25% of those who are deadlifting above 900 pounds in like the super handsome weight, right? So 308 or above. However, with squatting, it's the inverse. 308 and up, 75%, with a handful of guys coming in lower, like the Yuri Balkans of the world.
Exactly. Yeah. So I distill that down to center of mass, right?
Right.
You're going to have a lot greater margin of error in center of mass with a larger person squatting, which is going to be much more favorable. It's going to be much harder to maintain combined center of mass in a squat versus a deadlift, is what I would equate that to.
100%.
And
I think too, like if you look at body weight multiplier, someone like an Andre Milanichev, you parse out your 1,000-pound squatters, you're only going to find a handful of guys that are doing that under 300. Even, we probably count on one hand the number of guys that are doing that close to 300. But you're going to see more guys tipping up over, high 300s into the 400 pounds, which if you look at the multiplier, which isn't like the greatest indicator, but if you look at a multiplier, you're a 2 times body weight squat for some of these guys. 2.5 times is, that'll put you around 1,000-pound mark if you're 400.
Right.
But it's like, my best squat is a 3 times body weight squat.
That's impressive.
But so these females are all going to be probably pushing 4.
Which is, that's fucking incredible.
Right? Like imagine Andre Milanichev at 180 kilos pushing a 4 times body weight squat.
Fuck, that's wild.
Right?
Yeah.
That's a lot of weight.
Exactly.
So, I don't know. And here's the thing. When we talk about Andre or we talk about Steffi, it's like these are the best in the world. But you can infer training principles that'll just guide, and because it's all tiebreakers. When you're on the gym floor, it's literally all tiebreakers. It's like, should I do this for 3 reps or 3 sets of 12, or should I do it for 4 sets of 8? Right? Like these are really where it comes down to like what does this really matter? Yeah. Right? So I think if you can just organize your training and go, look, I'm training a female, the expectation is going to be this, right? The expectation is likely we're going to fall. If they did a 2x2 squat, I'm probably not going to load an extra 20% on and try and get a 1 rep max. I might load 10% on, right? Because I know that window is pretty close to their 1 rep max at that submaximal volume if the intensity is taken to the nth degree. And then at the end of the day, all of the extraneous other shit, if you're training with clients, so you're going to have 2 types of clients. You're going to have a client that's general population who, if they don't feel good, guess what you do? Do stuff that makes them feel good.
Yeah, exactly.
Or you're going to train someone who's world class. And if they don't feel good, you know what your answer is going to be?
Fucking do it.
Don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Don't give a fuck. And you know what their answer is going to be? Okay, good. I don't give a fuck. How do you feel? Doesn't matter. Great. Get under the bar.
Yep.
So it's like, I don't understand where the confusion is here, right? Like that's really my one workable takeaway is like, if I have 2 people, 1 male, 1 female, they're working at submaximal volumes and I'm going to put if I'm going to try and load the bar to what I think their 1 rep max to be, I'm probably going to load up a higher relative percentage of the load that was on the bar for the man, because he has a lesser ability to work closer to his submaximal, or to the intensity of his 1 rep max with submaximal volume.
Right.
Right. And I know.
I was just going to say, my take on this whole thing is, when I have to make these decisions, it's never a question of gender, right? If you're taking someone to the point where rep sets intensity matters, then you've been working with that someone for, we'll say minimum 2 months if it's a well-trained individual, right? At least 3 to 6 months probably. So the things that I would take into account would be absolutes, right? I would look at their body weight, because a lot of things that we're differentiating male versus female can also be differentiated. You know, a light male, I would group a lot of these very closely with what we're saying for a female, right? Like a 55, 61 kilo lifter, I would have their training regimen look much more with a lot of these things that are holding true for like a woman lifter, even though this has nothing to do with gender. And that's kind of what I'm getting at, is that I would look at body weight as one of the variables, and I would look at absolute load, and then probably the biggest variable is I would look at training history, right?
Yeah.
If you're peaking someone, you have 2, 3, 6 months of training history that you can look at and be like, okay, when we were in a volume phase, this lighter athlete, whether it's male or female, if they were hitting 85% of their 1 rep max for sets of 8 or a set of 8, then you know what? They're probably going to respond pretty well to volume. But if this heavier individual, male or female, if they were hitting, a set of 8 at like 65 and they're sweating out like cheeseburgers and hot dogs, then they're probably going to respond better to intensity than volume.
Right.
So kind of inferring from the training history and then looking at the absolutes is, the heavier the weight, the less volume you're going to do with it, period. It doesn't matter. And the lighter the weight.
How you use the word it.
It?
Yeah, well, because it's the less volume you are going to do with it, whether it be male or female.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like it's because there takes into consideration the stress of moving the body under the bar. Now, the representation of males versus females at at 200 pounds, you just start to see a stark drop off. You get to 250 pounds, like that's just gonna be men, right? Like for the most part, and you get up around 300, and it's like if you see a woman at these weight classes, guess what? They're squatting 600 plus pounds, right? Like this is, I mean, credit where credit's due. Like Christy Hawkins squatted 600, pulled 600, tore her bicep, and held onto it.
That is fucking savage.
Fuck everyone. Like that's it. Like she ended the gender weight training debate. But like the thing is, like you kind of alluded to it, is there's no debate. If you understand the proxies that make the decisions in your job, and it's all performance, there's no debate. Like if you're collecting this data, if you're a diligent coach, you're just going to be like, well, what is this? Because I've had male athletes that respond. So here's a classic example. Dan Green responds, like his submaximal volume is insanely intense, right?
Yeah,
so
dude.
Like
I've seen
his
him
ability
front squat crazy reps with crazy weight.
Right. And then, but his maximum weight on top of that, like he's not going to peak like you think he would, right? Like if he's going to hit, with his deadlifts especially, like he'll pull, I don't know, 770 from a deficit for reps, but he'll pull 8 something off the floor. And obviously, like you take into consideration the fatigue of a powerlifting day and squatting 804, but it's like with that, it's like we don't go, well, he's a man, therefore this. We go, well, no, it's Dan. And it's like he'll lift 1 and be like, wow, what a grinder single. And be like, haha, just kidding. I'm going to do 6 more. It's like, you're insane. But it's like, it's your proxy should just be your performance. And it's like, if people don't understand what goes into improving performance, that's when the old pelvic floor models come out. And it's like, guys, no, right? Because like there really is, or there's a spectrum. I don't want to say there's 2 types of clients, but there's a spectrum where it's like on one end, you have a Gen Pop client that wants to train to feel good. And if it's a guy comes in, doesn't feel good, if it's a girl comes in, doesn't feel good, I don't really care what the reason is. It's like, well, what can we do today? right? This is the difference between someone who writes exercise programming and a coach. Because it's like, I don't give a shit. I've had clients come in and be like, oh, like my fucking goldfish died. It's like, all right. And like, oh, you were really close to your goldfish. All right, let's pivot this session. And you know, if we got to sit there and talk for an hour about Flipper, we'll talk about your fucking dead goldfish. Like, I don't really give a shit. Right. Or on the flip side, you're going to have people that are like, yo, dude, I feel like shit, whatever. Yeah, we're 6 weeks out. Yeah. So you got to make a decision. You're going to go fuck home or we're going to do this. And it's like men, women, rain, shine, the good ones, they're doing it. Right? So it's just like understanding. And maybe it's like an inability for male trainers to just have that conversation of what training actually means to their client. Because it's like you self-select for someone at a certain point in your career where if people are coming to you, they're serious, right? They don't go to, not serious people don't go to you for training. So, but I think a lot of people kind of in like the earlier days of their career as a coach or as a trainer might not really know what training means. Because look, some of the baddest clients I've ever had are just people with 9-to-5 jobs.
So
but they'll lay out for it because training means everything. Because their 9-to-5 job fucking sucks. And so I know, I don't want to say her name on air, but like there's like a fairly prominent figure in the Silicon Valley that I used to train. And she was an absolute workhorse. And I had to have that conversation because it's the conversation that I've had before. It's like, what does it mean to you? Like if you don't feel good for whatever reason, do you want to lay out or are you paying me to be like, no, it's 4th and long, let's fucking go for it. And she's like, no, 4th and long, always 4th and long. I was like, all right, fucking let's go, let's do it. And then she'll come in on days, you know, in the hospital for not her, like working in a hospital for 16, 18 hours. I don't ask how you feeling. Like, all right, time to dig, let's go. Because that's the type of person he is. So it's like, if you just have the conversation, like, what does training mean to you? And then it's like, all right, we want to feel good, let's feel good. Right? Do you want to, but you're going to feel good if I fucking, you know, give you some any given Sunday speech and we get through it? Or, you know, do we want to sit on the bike and talk about it? And I'm cool to do both, right? Health exists in all these different weird ways, but it's like the obscurity that comes with he/him talking about the pelvic floor. It's like, guys, what are we doing here? Come on, just stop, right?
Right. Yeah, it's tough, especially when, I mean, I like to define goals for my clients, to be honest, because a lot of times people that are seeking out, you know, unless they're sport specific, like I work with weightlifters and they're like, I want to total this. I'm like, okay, let's get you to total that. That is fucking easy. That is the easiest client. I just give them the spreadsheet. They don't ask questions. They do the thing. But then there's these clients that, I want to look good for my 60th birthday or my like 30th wedding anniversary or whatever it is. I'm like, okay, that's a really subjective goal. Like, we can do a lot of things to make you look better. I have no idea what you actually want out of this. So let's set some like objective criteria around this. So I think being able to define goals, kind of like you're saying, is depending on where they lie in the spectrum. If people have subjective goals, then their day-to-day training is going to be more subjective, right? It's going to be like, okay, what do you feel? What do you want to do? What's going to make you feel good today? And then if they have more objective goals, I want to total this by this date, then you need to hit this in this session, and we need to be on track, you know, for this progression, whatever it might be. So I think a lot of what you're saying is these people that they probably have good results in terms of subjective, like creating subjective results, creating a positive experience for people, but they don't actually have any vein of performance or improvement or any objective improvement maybe. And that's why they market it this way, is because it's more so about feeling a certain way.
Yeah, like there's 2 types of coaches and 2 types of clients. Well, there's 2 types of people. There's honest people and there's dishonest people, right? No, it's true though. Like,
yeah,
and there's no worse. And we talked about this a couple weeks ago. There's no worse combination than a dishonest coach and a dishonest client. Yeah. Right? Because like what you described in the one scenario was an honest coach and an honest client, where you're like, all right, you want to hit this by this date? This is what you have to do. You got to hit this double 2 weeks out. Otherwise, not a hope and a prayer, we're going to get what you want over your head. Right. Okay. Client goes, yeah, on it. Get your 8 hours of sleep. You know, eat your fucking vitamins, say your prayers, go lift your weights. Got it. Cool. Honest coach, honest client. Dishonest client, dishonest coach. Well, you know, like I have this, but I also want to get bigger, or no, I want to get lean and I want to put on some muscle, right, but I also want to get really strong. And well, you know, it's that time of the month again. And the trainer goes, oh, well, you see, in the luteal phase, like, shut the fuck up. I don't ever want to hear those words leave your fucking bearded mouth again, he/him. Right? Like, because that's a dishonest client with a dishonest coach.
Right.
Like, don't coddle people. It's like, if you're going to set objective numbers to it, there's a process. It's not like, oh, I love the old, it'll be there on meet day. No, it won't. No, it won't. That's like planting a tree in the ground, stamping it to death, salting the earth, driving by it every day. I'm like, it'll be there on Christmas. It's like, no, it's not just going to be there when you drive by in December. It's like, unless you're watering that, unless you're, going through that growth process, it's not just going to magically appear. Right. So it's like, I think you as a coach, if this is something, and, I know the people that listen to this podcast, it's none of them, but they all know he/him that does this. It's like, they're going to have to be honest with themselves of whether or not they're an honest or dishonest coach. Because like an honest coach is performance based. Performance is your proxy. That's how you make your decisions. It infers the outcomes of decisions we make. Right. Hey, I bumped someone up from fucking, I don't know, 75 grams of carbs per meal to 100. And their bench went up 15 pounds, and that was the only thing we made. I was like, all right, I don't know if that glucose metabolism, whatever fucking Krebs, I have no fucking idea, GLUT4 had anything to do with it. But the proxy I have is performance. And so I was like, all right, great. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, I wonder what 125 grams of carbs per meal would do. Nothing. And now you're just fat. So it's like, all right, let's pull it back to the, right? Let's just pull it back to the 100.
Yeah.
Because we're going off of performance. And it's like, I think people just lose sight of that. Like they don't program, they don't archive, they don't write shit down. Like if you are an honest coach and you can find honest clients, and guess what? The honest coaches just seem to find honest clients. Right? And it's this harmonious, it's this interwoven, strung out, like a mentally abusive relationship that no one knows how to leave. Yeah. Like I've known of people in abusive relationships and they don't even have a PayPal subscription. And it's like really hard for them to leave. Like imagine trying to have like, how do I cancel this thing? I'm just like, I'm so codependent on this person. Cause because they're coddling you. Yeah. Right. Cause they're keeping you on the fucking emotional needle. Mm-hmm. So you can come in with some, follicular shut up. No, it's like you're either there or you're not. Like you're either in it or you're not. And look, it's okay. And here's the thing. It's like it's okay to not want to lay out for your training. That's fine. Like, just be honest. Yeah. Right. And I think that's something that people want to be like this bleeding heart of training. Like it's not for everyone. Like it sucks. Honestly, it sucks more times than it's cool. Like
absolutely.
More days of the week, it sucks to be embedded in this so much than it is to be like reap the benefits of it in some way, shape, or form. Like I think I was on a flight once and an old lady nominated me for like her spot in the emergency exit row. They did the whole rap. She was like, are you able to do the thing with the door? And the old lady was like, fuck, I just wanted the leg room. Like she was honest. This old lady was honest. She's like, look, no. But in some weird like Hunger Games thing, she was like, I pledge him. And I was like, fucking rights, lady. You're the first one out the plane. You're the only one out the plane. Probably one of 3 times where like being into working out to that degree paid off. The rest of it's just fucking ground turkey and headaches. Yeah. I'm trying to get powder in a container with water in it most days and it doesn't fit. And then I'm eating meals out of the microwave. Yeah. Maybe once in your life, you'll get the old nod to go up, but that's it. And so it's like, it's cool to be not like a diehard training person. Like I envy that most times, but it's like, be honest. That's what cause I like people like, look, dude, like I just fucking love beer. And I also love my kids. So it's like I work out so I don't die before my fucking daughter's wedding. Like I was like, all right, dope. Let's fucking do that. And like, oh man, you know, we got the blue flu last night. It's like Labatt's is like 100%. And then we got into the OV. It's like OV, okay, all right, we'll sit on the fucking bike for an hour. But it's like, don't try to be someone you're not, he/him. Right? Don't be a mansplaining fucking feminist. Just be a coach and be like, all right, like you're a female, you're a male. It doesn't matter. What is your emotional attachment to performance? That's all I need to know. And then that's going to be my attachment to it. And if it's laissez-faire and you tied on 6 at lunch and you're kind of drunk when you show up, it's like, we're going to have a laugh. We're not going to push it. And we'll see you on Monday. Really, it's so strange to me. Like, I don't know, maybe I've been around Instagram, social media, fitness for so long that like, it is a silent or a loud minority of coaches that operate this way, but you know they're edgy, they're different. It's like there's nothing new, right? Like you're being a fucking weasel because you're not like. Again, I don't go to my therapist to ask me about my reps and sets. Hey Nathaniel, what do you think I should do next week? You think I should low bar squat or high bar squat? He goes, I think you're gaslighting, and I was like, I think you're right. I don't come to you for fucking exercise. Oh man, it's frustrating, and I'm sure we've made it worse. I know I've made it worse somehow. Somehow someone's gonna get mad at something I said, where all I said was, well, everyone's pretty much equal. If you pay attention, you'll find that women are actually stronger, sub-maximal volume, probably don't throw as much weight on the bar after because they're doing more than men could at that relative intensity. Doesn't really matter anyways. Performance is a proxy, but understand the emotional proxy that performance has for some people, and then program accordingly or coach accordingly. Look, this is what you want. How bad do you want it? All right, cool. No, all right, this is all a laugh, and we'll get it next week. That's cool too.
Cool.
I can't. Well splained, my man. Well splained.
Yeah, you forgot to put your leg up. That's the only thing you missed.
Does it do like a old Captain Morgan's thing?
Yeah, exactly.
That's literally going to be the cover of the episode. Is just Jay's fucking junk right in the center stage. Yeah, that's a man spreading. That one I get.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I have friends that are females that man spread like a motherfucker.
Yeah, it's non-gender specific. Anyone can do it.
I recommend it.
Absolutely.
State your claim.
Circulation.
Is that what it is?
Air circulation.
Air circulation.
Airflow.
I got it.
Yeah, there you go.
For me, yeah, Lenny's sitting there on the sweat cam just cooking. Yeah, I mean, look, if this offended you, just call me. If you don't have my number, then fuck off. Like, that's kind of where I'm at with this shit right now.
Shit.
No, shouts out Miss India. She took it home. She did a great job. Miss Universe. She did, though. Crushed it. Straight crushed it. Columbia, top 5, trash. Shouldn't have been there. The U.S. didn't fucking hit the podium to make the top 5. Real disappointing. Yeah. I thought your girl had real chops there. Canada, as per usual. She was cleaning up chairs. We'll be back. We should just do Miss Universe recaps from now on. I feel like an expert. What a world, man.
Fuck.
Yeah, so this is our last episode of the podcast ever.
I think we just got canceled.
I'm going to go join Brian Callen and get my eyebrows done or whatever the fuck he got. That was really bad timing on his behalf. You ever hear about that? He got his some eyelid surgery, and then he got, it's not a good, and then he got accused of doing some shit. Anyways. We might even cut this bit out, but at Lunderjack Productions,
there's no way this is getting cut out.
We've never once cut anything out.
We just say that.
Lundy just wants to see how far we could push it.
Exactly.
At Lunderjack Productions, at Red, White, and Jordan, at RX'D Radio, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Subscribe to the podcast, Apple, iTunes, and Spotify, and YouTube on the YouTubes with the videos, so you can see how non-threatening we are, and you can see Jay's junk as he manspreads.
That's true.
All right. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll see you next week.
All right. Thanks, guys.